Alright, here we go on safety gear. One of the things I always wear is I always wear a welding hat. This is a spark and flame resistant hat. It's treated so that if sparks do get on it, it will not ignite. The sparks will just burn out, and it helps protect my chrome dome here against sparks and slag and stuff like that. Second, very important, is your welding helmet. This helmet happens to be what they call a MIG helmet. It's a shade 10, and the flash from MIG welding is generally not quite as bright as the flash from a regular arc welder. Arc welder like this one here. This is a Miller 225 amp AC only, what they call a buzz box. And then this one over here, which is in the process of being repaired, is also a Miller, but it is the Miller AC DC 225 amp AC 125 amp DC buzz box, and it's got DC positive, DC negative, and AC. A friend of mine gave this to me in parts. I'm trying to get it fixed back up and put together. Luckily I've got the AC welder over there to copy it by when I'm putting the different parts back together. So these use regular stick electrodes, whereas the Hobart over there uses the wire feet. Getting back to the safety gear, you got your helmet. I've got a sweat pad in here that makes it much more comfortable. You've got your glass shield right here, and then on the outside you have a plastic shield which protects it from sparks. Let me show you that. So here's the spark shield. This one's an older one that's scratched up, but that's what protects it from the sparks. And then this is the actual darkness shield. To give you an idea, we're going to shine up here at the light, and I'm going to put this in front of it. You see how it gives it kind of that light green glow. That's how much it reduces the light when I'm welding. And this is 120 amp light, or 200 watt, I'm sorry, that's a 200 watt light bulb. I can't look directly into it for any amount of time, but with the shield I can look at it all day long, and it's just kind of a light glow, soft glow. So that's how that shield reduces the amount of light coming through when you're welding. Always wear heavy-duty welding gloves. These happen to be Forney. They were an inexpensive glove, but they're very good quality. I've been using them for years. The liner on the inside is finally starting to wear. Here's one of the reasons why. I was grinding with it, with my angle grinder, and I got down, I was holding the metal with one hand and grinding with the other, and I ground right into the glove. But it never touched my skin. So the glove did its job, protected my hand right there. You know, you can see they're starting to wear through, this finger, just from years and years of use. Under the mask, just for extra protection, in case for some reason I sparked before I have the mask in place, I always wear dark safety glasses. These are a shade 4 or 5. It's not adequate protection for welding, but it is adequate protection for if I get a split second of spark before I have my mask down. Plus it protects my eyes. If I have the mask up to grind something, those protect my eyes. And then of course your angle grinder. This particular one is a Milwaukee. I have this one with a wire wheel on it. You absolutely positively have to wear eye protection, and I always wear ear protection as well. I've got a set of earmuffs right here. Whenever I'm grinding, I wear earmuffs and safety glasses. I am going to get a regular face shield at some point. The problem when using these brushes is these wire bristles can actually fly out of there. I've had them hit me in the abdomen, I've had them hit me in the legs, and I have had them actually hit me in the face as well too. The guard on here right now isn't doing any good. A lot of guys that are welders take this guard off. I do not. I think it's a good idea to have it on. When you're using an angle grinder like that, like I said, this one is a Milwaukee. It's a good one. It is one of the, I want to say, newer ones. It is made in Mexico rather than the US, but this is 10,000 RPMs, 120 volt, 8.5 amps, and it's real powerful. Never had any problems with it whatsoever. There's a variety of discs you can put on them. These are hard grinding discs. This is a pretty well worn one. Here's a less worn one, and what you'll see is they get a cupped edge after a while, but they actually start out perfectly square. A nice squared off edge like that. And these are aluminum oxide, made specifically for metal. You also have cutoff wheels, which are the same thing as that. A hard grinding disc, but much thinner in profile, and they generally have more fiberglass in them. So if you're doing a lot of grinding or cutting with these, you want to wear a respirator as well. And then you have your flap discs. This is a slightly used flap disc. This one is 40 grit, I think. Yep. You see we're down there at the bottom, it says Z3 40, 4.5 by 7/8. 7/8 is the size of the hole in the center, so you know what size grinder to put it on. And it uses little flaps of sandpaper with the abrasive on them. You will take metal off with this, but it's going to take your surface rust, paint, stuff like that off a lot easier. I have the wire brush on because I was using that earlier to take the light rust and whatnot off before starting this weld here. So I had to take this scale off just enough so that I could get the welding going. Now, I'm welding Flux Core. The nice thing about Flux Core is that it's a lot more forgiving if the metal is a little bit dirty. If I was running straight up MIG welding, again metal inert gas, I would have to clean that metal very well, in which case I would have used the flap disc versus the wire wheel. Every now and then you see there's gravel out here. I can only do light tack welds on my cement here because this is actually in my basement. I have a smoke detector right here, right there behind the or in front of the garage door opener. So I have these fans set up blowing, and they're blowing the smoke off of that smoke detector so it won't go off, because it's a hardwired system. So when that one goes off, all of them in the house go off and the dog upstairs goes crazy. So I can do tack welds here to make sure everything's square, and then I have to take it out on the gravel because it's so hot and intense here. And in the summertime, I set up this little canopy tent here so that I can weld out here, and it's a little more shaded, and it actually winds up being a little bit cooler just because I'm not in the direct sunlight at all times. Plus it keeps the metal cooler, because when you're out, when that metal is sitting out in the direct sunlight, it gets so hot you can't even touch it. Quick little addendum to the safety equipment. I didn't show it because I was wearing it, but this is a just like the welding hats. This is a flame retardant heavyweight cotton jacket, and again, if the slag or sparks hit it, they will not ignite it. They will only hit it and burn out. It cannot catch fire. So again, that protects me. It's full-length sleeves all the way down. The sleeves have a snap so you can close them around your wrist, and they have snaps going all the way up. I happen to have the top one undone while I was talking because it was warm out. I'm wearing a breathable t-shirt underneath it. These are extremely flammable. They will melt, and they can catch fire, and if they catch fire, they will melt into your flesh. into the wound. So you don't want that. So for that reason, when I'm welding, I always wear my full-length jacket. Additionally, I also have welding leathers, and they're hung up over here. And what the leathers do is they provide you with frontal protection, but the back is open to make them cooler, because welding leathers don't breathe. I mean, they breathe a little bit, but not like the cotton does. So you've got a collar that can be lifted, and you can snap this collar shut like this, and then it's got snaps down the front and snaps around each side, and then in the back it actually has a buckle that comes around and buckles. This one broke, so I had to fix it. So it now has the new buckle system, so I can snap that around my waist. And like I said, the back is just open so that you can get your full ventilation back there. So this is actually how far down it hangs in the back, and then in the front it comes down to your waist. And then, like I said, it's got the buckle system to bring it around and buckle it so that it holds tightly to your body. And then it also has the snappable wrist cuffs so that you can snap it down, and there's 3 different adjustment points for that. If I was doing a lot of upside down welding, I would certainly wear the leathers over the cloth jacket, but when I'm just doing this kind of welding where I'm welding down in front of me, the jacket is more than adequate. It does the job as well as it needs to do it. Get my finger out of there. And so there you go. Welding safety equipment, in this case welding jackets. Other important gear, fire suppression. So this is a rechargeable water fire extinguisher. So it's about 2.5 gallons. I can refill it and repressurize it myself. And then it has the hose, and I made a brass nozzle. It had a plastic nozzle that broke, so I used my friend's lathe, and I turned out a brass nozzle, which is actually better than the one that was on it. I have used it a couple of times already, so it's down a little in pressure and volume, but we can recharge that, no problem. It just has a standard jack on here, like a tire fill, with a regular valve stem in it, and I just put my compressor on there, and I can repressurize it. You fill it with water from the garden hose, and it fills up inside. It's got a little plastic piece in there so that you can't overfill it when it gets to because you have to have a certain amount of space in it for the air pressure. So when it fills with water, it probably only fills up to about this seam. Most of these seams are designed to rupture, so that if you do for some reason overpressurize it, that seam can rupture, and it'll be less dangerous. So there you go. It's fire suppression, always important. Make sure your area is clean and clear. There's a few dry leaves that blew in here that I should have taken out of here, and I didn't. They'll be gone before I raked out of here, before I do the rest of the welding on this thing, because we don't want those leaves catching fire that close to the house. Little things like, that's a bird's nest that blew in here, so during a windstorm while I was gone on vacation. So there you go. That bird's nest will burn very, very well. So we'll want to get rid of that also. Make sure you don't have any gas cans nearby, propane cylinders, any of that sort of thing that can leak gas, spray paint cans, that sort of thing. Any of those that are flammable, they need to be out of the area so that they don't catch fire.